Today I want to give you 12 tips for your GoPro Hero 11. All tips from number 6 onwards also work with the GoPro Hero 11 Mini. My first tip will allow you to navigate the menus more quickly. When you are on the main screen, you will see the settings button at the bottom center. If you tap on it, the menu with the presets will open. However, if you tap and hold the same button, the actual settings menu will open instead of the presets menu. This way you can make changes faster. If you tap and hold one of the shortcuts on the left or right side, a menu opens where you can change the shortcut. And that brings me to my second tip. You can customize all the shortcuts on the GoPro Hero 11 to suit your needs. Let's say, for example, you never use the zoom feature in the standard mode, but you often use the exposure compensation. Then you open the settings menu, scroll all the way down and select the exposure value compensation shortcut for the space at the bottom right. This way you can always quickly and easily adjust the automatic exposure. As already mentioned, you can also change the shortcut simply by tapping and holding them. You may want to change the settings underwater, for example when diving, but you will not be able to use the touchscreen underwater. It is possible to change the video preset or the photo and time-lapse mode without using the touchscreen and with the help of the front screen. To do this, briefly press the shutter button and the mode button at the same time. A menu will appear on the front display. Use the mode button to move through the different presets. Use the shutter button to make changes. My next tip will help you to expose your shot correctly. Let's assume you are in a relatively dark environment, for example in a forest, but you can see the sky on the horizon. The camera's automatic system sets the exposure based on the entire frame. Since it is relatively dark, this could cause the sky to burn out completely and only be visible as a white spot. If you want to prevent this, you can use the exposure control to set the camera to determine the exposure by considering only a very specific area, for example the sky. You do this by tapping and holding on the respective area. A white frame appears. If you tap on the icon with the plus minus, you can further adjust the exposure. When you are satisfied with the exposure, click on the check mark in the lower right corner. Now the camera will determine the exposure based on this small area. If you want to fix the exposure completely, tap on the white frame again. Now a small lock appears. Confirm again in the lower right corner. Now the exposure settings will no longer change, even if the light changes significantly. Imagine you want to use your GoPro as a dash cam or body cam. Of course, you don't know beforehand when something important is going to happen, and you don't want to capture hours of footage. For this, there is the looping feature, which is a bit hard to find on the Hero 11. To use the looping feature, you have to create a new preset. You do this in the presets menu by tapping on the icon in the upper right corner and then on the plus. Under mode, you then select looping. Once you have created the preset, you can then select the interval in the settings, for example 5 minutes. The camera then captures for 5 minutes and overwrites the old clip after the time has expired. It will do this until you stop recording. The last 5 minutes will then be saved. You can change the interval also to, for example, 20 minutes or even 2 hours. With the GoPro Hero 11, you can also shoot videos with portrait orientation. To do this, simply hold the camera in portrait mode and start recording. The problem is that sometimes you will unintentionally take a video with portrait orientation. To prevent this, there is the landscape lock. You activate it in the display menu. If, on the other hand, you simply want to fix the current mode, regardless of whether it's landscape or portrait orientation, you can do so in the dashboard by tapping on the appropriate icon. You can also block the orientation on the Mini. However, you can only do that in the GoPro Quick app under orientation. The Mini does not have a photo mode, but that's not so tragic, because you can easily extract a high resolution photo from any video clip with the Hero 11. To do this, you need the app. Open the clip under Media and tap on the second icon from the left. Now select the perfect frame and tap on Save Frame. And in the app, if you tap on the editing icon in the media player on the left, you will find another very interesting feature. The lens tool. With the lens tool, you can change the field of view in post. For example, from wide to linear or from super view to wide. However, this only works from wide to narrow. A shot taken in 16:9 with linear cannot be changed to super view. By the way, if you're interested in what poles I use for the Hero 11 or what my favorite mounts and accessories are, check out the links in the video description. With the Hero 11 and 11 Mini, you can remove the lens cover, and it's really easy. You do it by simply turning the lens cover to the left. Once it's rotated about 45 degrees, you can just take it off. The GoPro Hero 11 tends to get warm when taking longer shots. This will be a problem especially in hot environments. Even overheating and automatic shutdown is possible. There are a few tips to limit the heat generation. You should definitely deactivate the GoPro app as it requires a lot of energy. If that's not enough, try reducing the resolution or frame rate and making shorter videos if possible. All of this will definitely help you prevent the camera from overheating. There may be situations where the beep tones of the GoPro are perceived as disturbing. The same can be true for the LED lights blinking during recording. Both can be adjusted and deactivated. There are 3 different volume levels for the beep sound: high, medium and low. For the LEDs, you can either deactivate only the LED on the front or both LEDs, the one on the front and the one on the back. This way you won't be able to see immediately if the camera is recording. You can find the corresponding settings under General or in the app. Finally, I would like to give an extra tip to all those who live in the PAL region, that is most countries outside the US and Canada. If you want to set the ideal frame rates for the PAL region, for example 25 frames per second or 50 frames per second, then you will find the necessary setting under General and Anti-Flicker. For the PAL region, you have to select 50 Hz. And that's it for today. If the video was interesting for you, give me a like as feedback and see you next time.